Welcome back, Mumpy Mafia. Hope you're all doing well. In today's video, we're going to be installing the front SumoSprings bump stops on my 3rd gen Toyota Tacoma. Let's go. Let's do this unboxing. SumoSprings sent these out to me. Gotta love it. It's going on the Tacoma, so we're going to open it up with my Kaiser Sheepdog big blade. This is going to do the honors here. So let's do rear or front. Let's do front first. Get into that. We got instructions. We got our Loctite and bolts. And under here we have got our front bump stops. Now let's jump over to the rear, see which version we got. Once again, the Kaiser Sheepdog. And as we open this up, instructions, we got a thank you, some decals, and it looks like we do have the U-bolt flip kit version. So we got our U-bolts, we have our rear bump stops, and there's our main brackets. And there you go. You got your U-bolt flip kit, you got the main bracket, you have your rear bump stop bracket, which is going to go on just like that, and we've got the front bump stops. These are actually pretty cool. Can kind of squish them, but we're ready to install this on the truck. All right, now that we've got these unboxed, we're going to be focusing on the front bump stops today. So before we jump into the install, let's go back a couple of days and check out me just driving around on the factory bump stops to see how well those handle. What is up? I am just finishing up here at the car wash, and because I wanted to give you guys a really clear picture of how the stock factory bump stop works before I actually install the SumoSprings. So the front bump stop does not make contact with the lower control arm currently. I'm going to see if I can get it to make contact or kind of give you an idea of what exactly is going on underneath the truck. Now there is a big dip here, so we'll see if we can get contact with the lower control arm. The problem is that I am making a left turn. So make a right turn, I'll flip around and see if I can find. So there's the bump, right turn, and then we'll do another kind of hard hit where I can show you how the SumoSprings is going to do. So normal function of the factory bump stop is, like I said, you're not going to make constant contact with the lower control arm. So therefore, when you actually do have kind of a harder hit, you're going to feel it a little bit more, where SumoSprings and their bump stop, I feel like it's going to have more contact or full contact with the lower control arm, thus giving you kind of an ease or progression on that kind of hard hit. Okay, making a turn, probably covering up the camera. Here's the hit. Here's the hit. Time to hit this, and here we go. Hit. Sorry about that. And as we're turning in, here's hit number 2, and bang. We'll see how that kind of flows in. And bang. And here's the second one. We're coming in, and bang. All right, now that we've got a baseline for our bump stop and the way that the truck feels with the factory one, let's go ahead and install the SumoSprings front bump stop. So here we are underneath the truck on the driver's side. This is your front bump stop. As you can see, with my suspension setup with the Icon Stage 8 adjustable front coilovers, there is quite a bit of gap in between the lower control arm and the bump stop. Now, once we remove this and put the SumoSpring in there, you'll see that it closes the gap a little bit, and it'll probably have more contact with the lower control arm. After we get the factory bump stop out, which is going to be an easy removal, the problem that we have is trying to get this screw into the location where the front bump stop is. So we're actually going to have to raise the truck up so that way we get a little bit more space from the lower control arm so we can actually get the front bump stop in. Now, if you're running factory suspension, this gap may be a little bit closer. So bear that in mind if you're going from a factory suspension setup to the SumoSpring bump stops. Either way, you're gonna have to raise the front end of the truck. So we'll do the driver's side, then we'll do the passenger side, and we'll go out for a test run. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and remove the factory bump stop. I've got a big set of vice grips here. You can use some big channel locks if you need to, but these vice grips are going to work just fine. So go ahead and get a clamp on that, and we're gonna go to the left. And we'll just work this loose until we can turn it with our hand, and then we'll get this off. Here you can see just the size difference between the factory and the new SumoSprings bump stop. Looking forward to getting this on the truck. Here's what we're going to do next. We're going to go ahead and just put on our thread locker, Loctite, whatever you want to call it. Let's make sure we get some on there. That should be good. And now we'll go ahead and screw this into place. All right, that looks really good. Now we can go ahead and lower the truck. All right, now as we still are fully lowered, you can see that we're kind of just barely touching the very top of the lower control arm, and so we still have that much of a gap for the bump stop to kind of take up. But that is a lot less space, and we'll actually be in contact with the bump stop from SumoSprings a lot sooner than we were with the factory. And just a side-by-side comparison here, you can see just how much of a gap we had between the factory and the SumoSpring. So we'll be engaging the bump stop a lot sooner, and then this progressive overload bump stop will basically give us a little bit better handling and probably some less body roll. So I'm kind of interested to see how this does. All right, now that we have the front bump stops on, we're just going to go for a quick little drive here and see if we can experience what the bump stop actually does. So as you can kind of tell from the install, there is a smaller gap now between the lower control arm and the SumoSprings front bump stop, which has closed the gap from the factory. So I'm hoping to feel a little bit more engagement on the bump stop, and overall just kind of see how well it performs and when it's going to engage. Is it going to help decrease body roll? So we'll really see how well the bump stop does. So here it is coming up. Let's see, give it a bit of a, oh yeah, that really kind of engaged and stiffened up the feel of that a lot more. So that's actually pretty good. Let's see, I'm gonna go over that same bump here. Oh yeah, Yeah, it didn't even feel that. It didn't feel like there was a bump there at all, or that there was a dip in the road. And I'm doing, let's see, 26 miles per hour. Here's another bump. Oh yeah, didn't even phase. Didn't even phase the truck. Now, even just upgrading the front bump stops, I've definitely noticed a little bit more. Yeah, it's definitely different. And I'm sure now that the truck has settled a little bit, either the bump stops are fully engaged, or at least that gap is now minimized. So now I should be resting on the bump stops. So in having these bump stops from SumoSprings definitely helps the truck feel a little bit more planted, for sure. Especially with the Icon suspension kind of complementing the feel. Alright, coming up to a good hit. We're going to go back into this neighborhood here. Try and hit that a little hard. There we go. It's a good, decent, hard turn. I'm going to go back over this bump here. Bump. Like it wasn't even there. And then we're going to hit the dip here. This is definitely one that looks like it's been hit 20 miles an hour. There's a hit there. All right, now that we've had a couple of decent hits, what I'm noticing, apart from not having as much body roll anymore, is that now the suspension seems to have more support. So now the Icon suspension is not taking the entirety of the load. The bump stops are there to help carry that, soften that a bit, and the fact that they're a progressive bump stop, a progressive overload bump stop, is really nice. So the harder the hit, the more they're going to compress and the denser they're going to become, which is a really nice factor. So 22, I'm going to hit this heavy hit. There's that heavy hit. Didn't feel like a heavy hit at all. And now we're going to take this up to about 25 miles an hour, 27. I'm going to hit this one here. Yeah, didn't feel like anything. All right, now that we got the road trip all done and the testing kind of finished up, let's go back and wrap up this video. All right, so what can I say about the SumoSprings, at least the front bump stops? I'm liking the fact that it is helping to decrease the body roll, and it's absorbing a little bit more. That's engaging those bump stops a lot sooner than where the factory one was, and it's helping to support my Icon suspension. If you are interested in picking up a set of these SumoSprings front bump stops, I will leave a link down in the description box below where you can pick up a set for yourself. You can also check out all the other mods that I have on the Tacoma over at mumphy.us/mods, so be sure to jump over there and check out all of the mods that I have on the Tacoma if you're interested in picking up any of these. Thanks again for joining me on this video. Hope you did find it informative and helpful, hopefully a little bit enjoyable as well. I will catch you in the next video. Peace.